So where did you go to undergraduate school?
I went to Edinburgh University, Pennsylvania here.
Fighting Scots.
Yes, sir.
I played football at Slippery Rock, so we played against you, I'm sure.
We did.
I promised to discipline myself and stay away from that because we could talk forever.
We could.
But anyway, up there in Edinburgh, and then you have a Bachelor of Science degree?
I have a Bachelor's of Science in Elementary Education with a concentration in Special Education. From there, I went to University of Pittsburgh. I got my master's degree, had my superintendent's letter from Gannon University, went on to pursue my doctorate at the University of Pittsburgh, finished at North Central University, where it took me 5 years because I was working at the time, and it's a school in Arizona, it's an accredited school in Arizona. Finished there just because of I was living out in the country, and it was easier to get back and forth with the family of 4 children that I have.
And that was my next question. You have how many children?
4 children.
Okay.
I have ages 22 to 11, so.
So during some of that schooling, you had children.
Yes, sir.
Every once in a while, I'll have people ask me, it must be nice being a lawyer and whatnot. Well, it's not always nice, trust me.
Right.
But anyway, every once in a while, somebody will say that, and then I just basically remind them that I gave up 4 years of my life driving to Pittsburgh. I didn't have a family life.
Did you go to the University of Pittsburgh
Yeah,
as well?
I went to Duquesne University.
Duquesne's great.
Yeah, and so I know that you had that long, hard road too.
Yes.
And so you have a BS and an MA and a PhD.
Exactly. EED, which is Educational Doctorate.
Okay, and that translates into how many years of education, probably?
A lot, probably 18 years total.
Yeah, and at the graduate level. But now you're not only just a PhD, you're the brand new superintendent of Newcastle Area School District.
Been here for 6 months, yes, sir.
And I can say that I'm one person who is glad you're here.
Well, thank you.
I'm a taxpayer.
Appreciate that.
I'm a former teacher here, coach, it's school administrator, and I was on the school board for a while.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, and so, Doctor, we currently have, because of your courtesies and because of Tabitha, she's just a wonderful person.
She is. She's phenomenal.
She's like opened her heart to us, and I'm sure we've been underfoot sometimes, and we're trying not to. But we have a program that's in its second year now, and we're having a convention-style program. And the goal of the convention style is to, number one, have it yearly so that it can grow naturally. And the growth we're looking for is to have other school districts start to participate. And we're going to use the Scottish Rite Cathedral, which holds about 2,500 people, and it has at least 3 levels, I'm sure.
Right.
And that's coming up, thank you for that, on April the 17th, 2020.
We're excited about it.
Yeah, and we are too.
Yeah.
This is our second year. Awesome. And we've spun it a little bit different, again, thanks to Tab. She allowed us and your principal over there at the high school. We actually have the children, the kids, playing the roles of the judge, the prosecutor, and whatnot. And that's a whole different way we're doing it. And so in the morning on the 17th, the kids will put on a trial by jury, homicide by vehicle, DUI related, and they will have the ability to be jurors and whatnot. And then in the lunchtime, our plan is to have the community come together. And that would be, the kids are going back to school where they're supposed to be. And now we're going to open it up to elected officials, policymakers, other educators, serve some kind of a lunch that we can afford, and then have them relate and talk to each other and get used to meeting with each other, because policymakers need to be aware of what we just did. So we're hoping to unify the community and its leaders during that luncheon.
Excellent.
And we know they're busy, they're going to go back to work. And then in the afternoon, we're going to have CLEs, CMEs, counselor courses. People like me, we have to get 12 hours a
continuing ed.
Correct. And I guess you guys call that Act 48, I believe it's called?
For teachers, yes.
Yeah, and we're hoping to roll out a video on Act 48 hours so that they could be presented to teachers all over the state this summer, maybe, like at Westminster and places like that.
Excellent.
All of that is happening because Tab has coached us along the way and really helped us quite a bit. And anyway, we're still in the experimental stage. So this is not a program that you guys are really doing or sponsoring in any way or verifying. You're just giving us a chance to come in and prove that this can work. And we believe it can work. It's in our second year. And I want to personally thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
And Doctor, going back into these some of the things here, the word curriculum keeps coming up. When I say curriculum, what's that mean to you very briefly?
It's a course of study that students follow, usually aligns to some type of standard where the students follow a set course, and that's the curriculum in general.
And when I was in college, and I remember those things, but I just remember cramming at the last minute and not really learning maybe sometimes. But now that I look back on it, especially with all this political rancor back and forth about curriculum, it's come in the spotlight as to curriculum is really a content.
Right.
But it has to be content that has some objectives too, because you can't just take kids out of their life for 8 hours and then not have them learn something at the end. So curriculum also has a tension against it in something that is substantively valuable, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm surprised I still remember some of that stuff.
Yes.
But more importantly, and this is where I think you've given us this chances, the curriculum becomes not only the content, but maybe the method. When I was in college, I remember a phrase called guided discovery.
Right.
Is that still something they say?
Guided discovery, guided learning, it's ran the full course, but yeah.
And the goal here back then was to know what you wanted to teach on that semester, that period,
your objectives, yes.
whatever it was, and to guide them into discovering it in a creative way in which they would be interested and retain better.
Right, and that's what the ELM program does, right?
That's what we're trying. That's what we're aspiring to. We're
Right.
hoping that you guys will coach us along the way too and help us do that. Now, one of the things that we're really intrigued about is what we call another voice.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, we've been doing this for well past 18 or 19 now. Years ago, we started having a trial in the content, a real trial. Now, a real trial actually involves people playing the roles of the jury, and the main roles are the defense counsel, the jury, the judge, the tip staff, the detective, the arresting officer, the family of the victim, the family of the defendant, etc., and police officer and all of that. And we stumbled upon another thing that we've been studying quite a bit called modeling. And again, I'm throwing a word out there that might not be the right word.
Right.
Does the word modeling stimulate your academic background in any way as to having any kind of educational value for the kids?
Right. I mean, you have to model the proper desired behavior for all students so that they can see and experience what the right situation looks like, what the ideal situation looks like. And having the students model their own behaviors is very substantial, because then they get to act it out, they get to see it, they get to experience it, and the learning becomes much more valuable.
Now, the word modeling became popular with us because Dante Ludovisi, who's standing behind me now filming this, can tell you we have hundreds of hours of video. Mm-hmm. And the work he does in editing and fine-tuning and resolving and trying to boil down something valuable from hours of conversation, it's just amazing. But we're starting to realize now that the video could survive maybe two different tensions. In one hand, talking quickly, covering the subject, and entertaining moves fast. But on the other hand, real learning sometimes involves stopping and in a trial, weighing every single word. So with the video, we're allowed to do both then.
Right.
We're allowed to have the content move at real time through a real life situation, and at the same time having the trial allows it to be stopped whenever we want and weigh each and every word. And we're hoping that the defense counsel, the prosecutor, the policeman and whatnot, in some way would be modeling to the kids several things.
And you're addressing multiple learning styles, because now, the students that aren't learning by doing, they can learn by seeing. And, you get both of the learning styles, and it helps the students experience that.
And the innovation of this year being the first year of letting the kids do it has now connected better with the audience, because they're people they see every day in the lunchroom, in the cafeteria, and the modeling seems to be a little bit more relevant to them.
Absolutely. Having kids do it was a genius move. It was a great move.
It was totally by accident, and again, we waited and saw it, and we filmed it, and I can tell you the comments from everybody who has seen those kids They did a wonderful
Yeah.
job. And we boiled it down so it was realistic too. You know, they can't have a whole 3-week trial. But so the trial by jury, another voice, another way to teach kids, can teach us actually the subject of the trial.
Right.
In this particular case, it's a child who's driving a car, DUI, and is involved in a collision and basically is charged with DUI homicide related. Very, very intricate fact and legal question. Could come out from a jury trial a different time over and over and over again.
Right.
It could be literally as random as a coin toss.
Flip a
The
coin.
difference in that coin toss is 3 years of mandatory jail time for that kid who survived the crash, if he survived the crash at all.
Right.
And so we're hoping that that's a great way to roll out that issue
Right,
too.
experience.
And the academic things that go on whether this DUI was caused by the alcohol or just happened to be a happenstance, that analysis literally has played to law schools with the highest intellect trying to resolve that issue, and still a major debated issue in the country. So we're hoping, you know, that we can do that. And is that something that sounds like we might be at least on to trying it?
I think it's a great idea to you know, have the students act out those things each year. And you know, as the years go on, the curriculum goes on, you could even expand the opportunities by maybe rewriting the narrative a little bit of the trial, so that students can experience different scenarios. You know?
Well, in Kennedy Catholic years ago, we actually had the kids write a fact pattern
Right.
and write a police stop. The police actually chased a car down in front of the kids and pulled them over and did the field sobriety test and found something in white powder under the front seat of the car and whatnot. The kids wrote their own storyline for it.
Oh, neat.
And again, it became another voice on several products. And in that another voice, there were some spin-offs too. Number one, the very slow with the video that can be played back and played back and played back over and over again for a semester.
Absolutely.
On the other one is the video's going in, it's entertaining. Number two, it becomes a way of dispute resolution.
Right.
When we go into a courtroom, there are always two people who are against each other. There are two tables are separated. But only one gets to talk at a time. There's some rules on what you say and how you say it.
Right.
And the other one gets to talk. Both people get their turn. Somebody neutral rules on the relevancy of what you're saying rather than just name calling. So the trial process itself becomes a way to teach them proper dispute resolution, so that when it's over, you leave the courtroom and you won or lost, but it's over.
Right.
So we're hoping that that could be another spin-off value for this trial by jury, another voice.
Yeah.
We also are excited about the possibility of teaching attitudes. Have you ever, you know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Many educators say, well, you can't teach attitudes. So if you say you can't teach attitudes, you can't.
You can model
and you don't,
that.
and you won't.
Right.
Okay, but what's your opinion on teaching an attitude too?
Well, I think, you know, particularly with the breakdown of families and particularly communities, that students don't get to experience always the desired behavior. That, you know, they might experience things that aren't desirable, the language, the attitudes towards drugs and alcohol. So I think by shaping their attitudes and modeling the proper behavior for them, it's very important. It's all this social and emotional welfare in the programs that you're seeing today. If you don't help these kids, nobody's going to teach them. A lot of times nobody's going to teach them. So our schools, we've become more of a triage center of getting students and helping them, showing them the right behaviors, because they may not be learning it at home. Not always. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I think here we need to model those behaviors for them to help them be successful in life, because we have an obligation to our kids.
And I go all the way back to my graduate courses when I was in the profession you were in, and I can always remember one of the professors at Westminster talked about the school being a living laboratory. That there's a lot of teaching that goes on before the bell rings, when they're in the hallway, when it's inclement weather, when they go through the hallways, in the gym class, in the cafeteria, in the classroom before the class starts.
Right.
And that's kind of like it seems to me, with the breakdown of the family, it seems to be more imperative now than ever.
Everywhere is imperative, and it's our job to keep that as tight as we possibly can to give them experiences that will help them.
And the little bit of research that I did on this, and I was hoping I was on the right trail, it seemed to be 3 different ways you teach attitude. First of all, to identify the competencies of a positive attitude, and have those kind of like seasoned into the curriculum. And I'm having self-esteem, independent awareness, empathy, self-management, self-improvement, and self-control. Those would be kind of like in your curriculum, and Tab's like a master at these kind of things.
Right.
Those would be the overall objective from which you're sifting that through that sifter
Right.
to arrive at those objectives.
And any curriculum like ELM, you absolutely want to provide that in there.
And then the next was the, according to my notes here, pardon me,
It's okay.
was and again, we're avoiding negative thinking and complaining. We're spending time with people who have a positive attitude.
Right.
We are thankful for the job or the tasks. We give ourselves a chance to recharge and reward yourself for doing a good job. And the kids, of course, I'm using the word yourself, but it would be the children.
Right.
So number 2 in that hierarchy would be the actually modeling of the behaviors that we just talked about.
Right.
And then number 3 would be last and certainly not least, the review. And again, this is where the video comes in handy and all of that stuff. So we thank you so much for giving us that opportunity to bring this content to you. And we've gone one step further, and I know you haven't even seen it yet. I know Tabitha hasn't even seen it yet, but we're going to be submitting to you, I think, 4 different courses.
Excellent.
Now, the courses, we've used Dr. Jackie Respris, and I'm going to name drop her here. She's a former administrator
I've heard
here.
of her.
And Jackie and Tabitha are real close. They worked together, I think, when they were
They are.
professionally in
Yes.
the school district. But Jackie Jackie is tasked with making sure the Department of Education finds value in each of those intervals and objectives and whatnot, because there is an accountability here. And we're hoping that by the 17th of April, we'll be able to make some kind of a first draft proposal of 4 different solid courses.
We're excited to hear those courses. Everything that you've done has been top notch, so we're excited to see more coming from the ELM program.
And here's the one I'm really saving the best for last. The most effective, cheapest, most rewarding treatment there is prevention. Now, you guys shared with us that panel we had with the State House of Representatives a couple days ago. And when I left there, my opinion personally was that everybody was talking about something that seemed to be hopeless, that there was no way of doing this.
Right.
Well, if we are constantly spending all of our resources dealing with the people we have lost, we need to spend some time with the people that are just walking into the system.
Right.
And prevention early, right now, in the school system needs to be our top priority. Most people, we have found, are not addicts or alcoholics. So in my old days of school curriculum, the bell-shaped curve, I can see that as I'm looking at you. On the end, they would say 2% are intellectually challenged, special needs,
Right.
2% are gifted, and the bell is in the middle there.
Well, that's
So,
changed somewhat.
I'm sure it has.
We have about 20% special needs, 20 to 30% special needs, and then the bell, everything's still in the middle, but the middle's a lot lower than it was decades ago, and that's at every school.
So let me posit a question to you. So if we spend all of our time, all of our resources at the people that have failed, and by the way, we do need to save them and whatnot, but spend no time in the middle of the bell or to the ones that will respond and not do drugs and alcohol, aren't we doing a disservice to a basic curriculum, for one thing?
We need to serve all our kids,
Right.
no matter who they are, no matter what challenges they have. We just need to serve them all. And I think your program obviously definitely gives the students the opportunity to experience that, all students.
And we do want to reward excellence. We
Yes.
want to reward performance. Nobody should be and would be ever left behind, but we're hoping we have them aspire to excellence.
Absolutely. and 20-30% of our students, and I think, I've been in a lot of different school districts. I've been an administrator for 20 years, and that's the general trend. About 20-30% of our students are special needs. The rise of autism, for whatever reason, has greatly attributed to that. I think students not having the support early on to read and math, and the lack of proper intervention programs at our youngest age have really attributed it to that. I mean, there's just a lot of different things. I think family dynamics, school dynamics, because now you're dealing with a lot of different challenging students. In Newcastle's case, we have a high percentage of students who are English language learners. So a lot of them don't speak English, at least probably around 10%. And it is growing. 69% of the live births in Newcastle were Puerto Ricans this past year, and that's that's going to lead to language challenges as students come in and can't speak English, if a lot of them can't. So those are all things, and then those students have trouble learning concepts, not just English language learners, but special needs students, autistic students. If you throw them all together, there's a lot of combination of all of it.
Are you familiar? I know you met her. You may not be familiar with her work, Dr. Robin L. Goodwin.
Yes, I've met her.
Illiteracy and crime are connected. The Department of Justice states the link between academic failure and delinquency, violence, and crime is welded to reading failure. Over 70% of inmates in America's prisons can't read beyond the 4th grade level. 50% of all prison inmates have dyslexia. And we're now trying to address that while we have them in prison. We may have missed them in school, but that's been it's a startling statistics. According to National Assessment Adult Literacy, 66% of students who cannot read proficiently by the end of the 4th grade will end up in jail or on welfare. This is also referred to as the school to prison pipeline. These are national quotes on reading.
That's correct. I mean, and we have a challenge here of getting students to read, and we put a lot of emphasis and a lot of resources in our younger population. And it's going to take years to see that, right? Because those kids are in 5-6 years old, and by the time they get to seniors, but it's almost too late when they get to the high school. I mean, that's where character education comes in, and trying to help and stem some of that tide. But a student isn't going to learn to read a lot of times in 10th grade, 11th grade. It's too late. They're dropping out. They're doing things already, and we get a lot of students like that. So my job is to tackle those students in the elementary when you can reach them, when they're younger, and you can actually make a difference. And we have to do better at it, and we're trying.
But it's just so, it was never this difficult when I sat where you sat.
Right.
I have to tell you, my hat's off to both of you, all of the people who do this.
I have good people, and Tabby's excellent at curriculum. Dr. Marino is phenomenal. I mean, she really has a handle of it, and she enjoys working with your own program as well. So.
And all we're trying to do is come into your life 2 days a year,
right,
and give you an engaging message that has some academic value to it, and then deal with prevention and reaction to people.
And I can tell you that our staff and students really enjoy it, and we're looking forward to a great day here in April to see everyone see the actual trial again and experience the outcome, and to meet all the dignitaries. And we're just so grateful to all the work that you've put in.
So we're trying to do the trial in the morning, have the kids back, have the luncheon and the social networking, and then in the afternoon we will have Act 48 CLEs, CMEs, and then we might, depending on the response, have an adult trial in the evening for the parents, and have adult lawyers do that. And then just basically close the convention off and say, see you next year. And our goal here is to have Newcastle step forward and be a leader across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and start bringing people together, because we have found that ELM, education, law, and medicine, those are the 3 pillars of any community. And when we get them to play together, And the educators do a lot for that. Your educators are teaching us how to, some of these lawyers and doctors have never worked together in anything in their whole life. When they become a team and become a collaborating network to save communities and unify communities.
Awesome.
We just thank you so much for giving us a chance to help. That's all we want to do. Is
Thank you.
a chance to help.
We appreciate that, Attorney Gregg.
And I'm assuming you're going to extend a welcome to any other school districts who want to send their kids or teachers.
Any
on the
other
17th?
school district is certainly welcome to participate.
2,800. Yeah, 2,800 seats.
Awesome. You know, the Scottish Rite Cathedral is a wonderful place,
Yeah.
and it'll be a great day, so we're looking forward to it.